summit in Ankara, we're joined by the former Turkish diplomat Dr. Cemal Sangu, live from Ankara. Dr. Sangu, thank you so much for your time and welcome back to Asia One News. Now, Turkiye is hosting this year's NATO summit at a time of heightened global tensions. What are the key priorities and expectations from this meeting?
Thank you very much for having me again. It is always a pleasure to be with Asia One News. Well, I think this summit comes at one of the most challenging moments in recent international politics. NATO leaders are meeting the backdrop of the war in Ukraine, continuing instability in the Middle East, cyber threats, hybrid warfare, and growing geopolitical competition. The participation of all 32 NATO member states, together with the President of Zelensky of Ukraine, leaders from European Union, Indo-Pacific partners such as South Korea, Japan, Australia, and several Gulf countries, demonstrates that today's security challenges are increasingly global and interconnected. I believe the main priorities will be strengthening collective defense, enhancing defense industrial cooperation, increasing resilience against emerging threats, and preserving alliance unity. Ultimately, the success of the summit will be measured not only by the decision adopted, but also by the political cohesion demonstrated among allies.
And Dr. Cemal, President Erdogan has met with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte ahead of this summit. What does this tell us about Turkey's growing role within the alliance?
Well, I think this meeting carries both practical and symbolic importance. It reflects the close consultation between NATO leadership and Turkey ahead of one of the alliance's most important gatherings. Turkey occupies a unique strategic position at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, Black Sea, and Middle East, making it an indispensable ally in addressing today's complex security challenges. At the same time, as NATO's second largest military after the United States, and with its rapidly expanding and growing defense industry, Turkey is contributing not only operational capabilities, but also technological innovation and defense industrial capacity. I believe this underlines Turkey's increasingly influential role in shaping NATO's future strategic agenda.
And so European leaders hope President Trump's relationship with President Erdogan and Mark Rutte will help ensure a successful summit. Do you think those personal ties can ease recent transatlantic tensions?
Well, I believe constructive relationships and diplomacy among leaders can certainly facilitate dialogue, particularly during the periods of the political disagreement. Trust at the leadership level often creates opportunities for frank and sincere discussions and helps bridge differences that may emerge within the alliance. However, I think NATO's strength has always rested on strong institutions, shared strategic interest, and collective decision-making, rather than on personal diplomacy alone. Personal rapports may help create a more positive atmosphere, but ultimately, lasting consensus must be built through sustained dialogue, compromises, and a shared commitment to collective security.
President Trump repeatedly urging allies to increase defense spending. Do you expect this summit to produce concrete commitments on sharing and military cooperation?
I think the burden sharing will certainly remain one of the central themes of the summit, as we just earlier heard from the President Trump as well about the burden sharing. The recent conflicts have demonstrated that credible deterrence requires not only a higher defense budget, but also stronger defense industries, resilient supply chains, technological innovations, and greater interoperability among allies. Therefore, I expect decisions to focus not only on spending targets, but also on expanding joint productions, research and development, defense industrial cooperation, and emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, cyber capabilities, and integrated air and missile defense. In my view, the emphasis is gradually shifting from simply spending more to investing more effectively together.
And finally, sir, how do you see the of the Ankara summit shaping NATO's future strategy, particularly towards Russia, the Middle East, and broader regional security?
Well, I believe the Ankara summit will reinforce NATO's long-term strategic adaptation to a rapidly changing security environment. Regarding Russia, the alliance is likely to maintain its policy of deterrence and continued support for Ukraine while keeping channels for responsible dialogue open whenever possible. Concerning the Middle East, recent developments have clearly demonstrated that instability in the region can have direct implications for European and global security through energy markets, migration, maritime security, and terrorism. I also think the summit will place greater emphasis on cooperation with partners beyond the alliance, including countries in the Indo-Pacific and Gulf, reflecting NATO's increasingly global approach to security. Ultimately, the future of NATO will depend on its ability to combine military strength with technological innovation, defense industrial cooperation, and sustained political unity among its members. Finally, I think the Ankara summit illustrates that NATO is evolving beyond a traditional military alliance into a broader strategic security community in an increasingly interconnected world. Collective defense, technological innovation, resilient defense industries, and strong political unity will remain the alliance's greater strength.
Sir, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it today.